Good, good, good morning. Good morning, lovely souls. Good morning, beautiful empaths. You're most welcome to my channel. You're most welcome to my page today. Denzomo's in the building. Denzomo's in nature. Denzomo's in tune with himself. Today, guys, I'm talking about a very important subject. I'm going to talk about something what they call a spiritual awakening. And usually, what happens when someone awakes, when somebody is awoke, when somebody wakes up, exactly. What are those things exactly? How do they feel? What do they experience? And what happens then? What happens next? So I'm really excited to talk about this, guys. It's a beautiful day. Thank you all of you who are following me on my channel. If you are new, I encourage you to subscribe, to like, share, and subscribe. If you're old and you've been with me all along, you're most welcome back. Now, guys, before wasting time, I'm going to dive deep into this subject. So something what they call the spiritual awakening. Now, guys, before anyone out there or anybody experiences what they call the spiritual awakening, they are going to go through a series of events. Now, most of the time, I've told you, I've made some videos about the indigo children. I've made some video about the people who they call the chosen ones. Now, most of the times, a person who is spiritual awake is a chosen one. A person who is spiritual awake is an indigo child, a child with an ordained purpose, a person on a mission, a person on a... If you awaken, it's a blessing, because that means that the universe has used all those ways and all those means necessary, all the possible means necessary to awaken you and remember who you are and what you came here to do, so that you can start to follow your life purpose and you can start actually to follow your direction. Guys, I apologize, there's this sun up here, but I don't know, I hope you guys can see me properly. Now, before we go into the spiritual awakening, first of all, there are so many events that lead to a spiritual awakening. So events what lead to a spiritual awakening, I can talk about the first event. It can be what they call a near-death experience. So near-death experience, this is like that situation whereby you are almost and nearly almost dying. You know, you reach the deathbed and you survive, and you come out of it alive. So a near-death experience, it can be an accident, a very bad accident, terrible accident, which almost takes your life, someone's life. So when that thing happens, it ignites your soul. It ignites your soul. It doesn't ignite, it reignites your soul to wake up. It's like, you because you know, if you're spiritual awakening, you definitely are here for a very, very specific purpose, because the universe has ordained you to come here and carry out a very, very specific purpose. It can be a purpose meant to enlighten other people, to also sometimes awaken other people, to also sometimes raise the vibration, like to raise the vibration of the planet. You know what I mean? So, because a lot of people is living in what they call the third dimension. So many people living in the third dimension. The third dimension, what I can call the matrix. So the matrix, I've explained to you for a very long time, guys, that it is that illusion of the world we think we know. Because the matrix trains a lot of us through schools. So you wake up, you're born with a very pure soul, innocent. You know nothing, you just enter the world and you start doing completely different things. So you start getting deeply embedded into the matrix. So the matrix usually trains you in a different way. You go to those schools, you study the primaries, then you go to the secondaries, then you go to the colleges, you go to the universities. At the end of the day, you are living that purpose that the matrix has trained you to live. That direction, you're moving at that direction that actually the matrix has trained you to go, which is actually not your real purpose. It is not your direct, it is not your assigned purpose you came here to do. So most of the time when you awaken, that means that you're awakening to your true life purpose and believing in that thing and starting doing those things that you came here to do, that the universe has ordained you to come to the world to do. So there are people what they call the star seeds. There are people who they call the chosen ones. There are people who they call the indigo children. I've done 2 videos recently about the chosen ones and about the indigo children. And those are the people who are here and they have been ordained by the universe to come and serve a specific purpose, because they have been picked out of the many to come help other people awaken, to come and help other people live their best lives, get awakened and start living that life that they really came here to be. So most of the people don't have that chance. It's very few people, and that is the reason why we have around the world people who are like, they are like light workers. Though there are so many people, there are so many types of chosen people. They are light workers, they are the chosen ones, they are the indigo, they are the, so there are so many type of people who the universe has chosen, all in their different categories, to come and serve a specific purpose. So usually what happens, I've been explaining to you why and exactly how does an awakening start. Now you are going to, for those of you who are in the awakened family, who are in the spiritual awakened family, you are going to realize that there are some people, those people who have had like very terrible accidents. So terrible accidents, those accidents, if you ever survive, if that person ever survives that accident, you are going to realize that their life will never be the same again. This is because usually when you have an accident, a very bad accident, very shitty bad accident, that accident is going to awaken your soul. So it is going to break down your ego and awaken your soul. And then at the end of the day, when you survive that accident, that is when you're also going to realize that there is so many things about your life that you didn't know. There is so many things about your life that you've been living before that you actually didn't know. And then that's when you're actually going to start to step up the game and step up to your true purpose. You are going to realize that your ego is dead. I've already done videos about the death of ego. Guys, you guys can go back to my page and read about the death of ego. And you're going to start living out of your ego. So you're going to start doing things that you never thought you could do. You're going to start moving mountains. You're going to start touching people's lives. You're going to start changing people's hearts. You're going to start anything you can do. You're going to realize that whatever you do, anybody you come across, anybody you meet, you will never leave them the same, and they will always have something to think about themselves, and probably most of the time you can end up awakening them. So when you have ever had an accident and you realize that after that accident you were almost like dead, you were like gone, then all of a sudden the universe said, no, you haven't yet fulfilled your purpose, so you need to come back on the planet, and you need to come back from the planet and serve your true purpose before you actually die. You know what I mean? So that is when you're going to realize that actually you're going through what they call a spiritual awakening. So if you ever find yourself, life is not the same, things have changed ever since your last accident, your very terrible accident, you've never been the same, you have started to live your best life, you've started to improve every area in your life, your finances have improved, your love life has improved, your career has improved, so everything about yourself starts to improve, even the language you use. Because usually, guys, I've told you that when you're awakening, you move from the third dimension, which they also call the matrix. So you move and you get dragged out of the matrix. Sometimes this is by force, because when your ego dies, you start getting exposed to most of those things that you didn't know. You start getting exposed to a certain language. You start getting exposed to a new dimension of things that you actually never knew existed. This is because it didn't exist. It has always existed. The things have been there, but this is because you have been always living most of the time in your ego, and you weren't able to identify these things and exactly what do they mean, what are you going through. So you just live life like day to day. You go to the normal schools, you go to the regular schools, you go to you have got your favorite church that you're attending every Sunday. So you have got your friends in the neighborhood that you believe in, the things you believe in. You've got that relationship that is not serving you. So most of those things, when your ego dies and you awaken, you start to leave all those things behind. And then you're going to realize that you're starting to live in your heart space. So you're living in your heart space, you're very calm, you do not resent anymore with things, you do not resent anymore, you do not hate anybody. You just feel that you want to help people, you just feel that you want to inspire people, you just feel that you want to live a very spiritual life. You just want to, whoever person you come across with, you don't want to leave them the same. So you want to make sure that you contribute to other people's lives, yourself of course, and as well, and also other people's lives. And then most of the times it is a very fast indication that you're going through what they call an awakening. So you're going through what they call a spiritual awakening. So guys, when you ever, most of the times, go through a very, very terrible accident, that accident is going to break down your ego. So it is going to break down your ego because it's like a very, very big shock. For you to be awakened, for a person to receive an awakening or to get an awakening, they have got to experience something very, very, very serious, very, very serious life incident. You know what I mean? So accident is one of the things I've talked about, which can cause something what they call a near-death experience, whereby somebody is between life and death. But either way, somehow they're able to make it through, and to stay alive. And then that's when usually most of the people are awakened. That's when most of the guys awaken. Another awakening incident I can talk about is a very, very bad relationship. Now, for the most of the time, most of the people who awakened are usually empaths. It is not necessarily empaths. Somebody may be an empath, because it's not all empaths actually know that they are empaths. Because empaths are people who are there to serve other people, to serve humanity and to serve other people. So it's not everybody knows that they are empaths. So most of the time they will be living their life in the third dimension. They'll be doing things normally, associating with other people, doing these kind of things, but then they will never actually know that they are empaths. So because empaths shine, empathetic people shine with a special light, with a very, very special light that cannot be visible. It is not visible by the naked eye. They have got a specific light that shines around them, and usually they are prone, or they are prey to very, very toxic people who are very, very bad, very, 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 very deep in their ego, people who are very toxic, all these people who are narcissists, usually people who are psychopaths, usually people who are sociopaths, So it is not personal, but it's like these people decide to choose empaths because they know empaths are very forgiving people, and they are very soft people. They're very forgiving. They're people with very good hearts. So most of the time, those toxic people get involved with empaths because for them it's like a source of supply. So it's like a source of food for them, because they know that they can always do whatever they want to do and they will get away with it. They will not be punished. They will not be they will not face the karma. They will not be punished. They will get away with whatever they want to do with the people. So most of the time, empaths tend to fall prey for most of these people who are abusive, and they end up in toxic relationships. So what happens with empaths is, if you're an empath out there, guys, my page is about empaths, and I've always talked about breaking empaths free. So you're going to realize that when you're in a toxic relationship, so most of the times you're going to be abused. So you're going to be abused in so many ways. You're going to be manipulated. You're going to be abused. Somebody stabs you in the back, then they keep on stabbing you. They stab you, they stab you, they stab you. You keep on waiting because you're an empath, you want to forgive. You're an empath, so you want to forgive. So they will stab you, they will kick you, they will abuse you, they will pour hot water over you, they will do everything. They will step on you, you will fall down, and they will keep on stepping on you in the mud. Because guys, narcissists, they are very, very, very bad people. They are very, very toxic, very bad people, and very dangerous people. So most of the time they prey on empaths. So when you're an empath out there and you realize that you are in a situation whereby, very, very difficult situation, a relationship that you do not know. You don't know, first of all, how you got in there, and then you don't even know how to get out. So most of the time you are an empath, and it is very, very likely, I don't want to scare anybody out there, but it is very likely that you are going to wake up. Because the more a person abuses you, the more you get abused, is the more your ego dies. So when a person continues abusing you one way or the other, it is very similar to having a very terrible accident, a near-death experience. So it is very similar to that incident whereby a person abuses you, and most likely, in most of the cases, you are going to awaken. So if you're an empath out there, most of the people I've seen, there's a lot of, I didn't know myself that there was this kind of community that had risen up to fight back. They had risen up to fight back and take back their power. So, but there's a very big community. I didn't know about that. I just discovered recently that there was actually a community of empaths that had just gotten out of toxic relationships, and they have started taking back their power, and they have discovered where their power is. They have discovered their empaths, and now they're starting to live their best life, and they're starting to touch people's lives. There are so many people on YouTube, around YouTube, even on social media sites. So many empaths are taking back their power because they have awakened to their true realities. They have awakened to their true power, and they are starting to touch people's lives. They are starting to live their life purpose. So when you're an empath, you have got to be sure, almost sure, that you are going to awaken. So definitely, if you're an empath out there and you're in a very toxic relationship, you are going to awaken. But I want to prepare you. The main purpose of this video is to prepare you for this awakening, so that when it happens to you, you do not. This is not only for empaths. This is also for the people I've said, people who have experienced the near-death experience, people who have had very, very terrible accidents, like they have almost lost their lives and they were between life and death. They were in the middle between life and death. So this is also for those people. But also in this video, I'm specifically going to talk about the exact incident that happens when you're awakening. So what an awakening really feels like, and how to digest that feeling, because it is not the feeling that you know. It's not the feeling you've ever seen before. It is not the feeling you've ever known. It is a very, very special, specific kind of feeling you're going to get when you're awakening. Now, guys, remind yourselves, I want you to remind yourselves that when you're awakening, I've told you already that this is before the awakening, you're already living in your ego. So the more the person abuses you, they kick you, they pour water over you, they shit all over you, they do all their BS on you, and you have always forgiven them simply because you never knew that you were an empath. You just never knew that you were an empath. I just knew that I was actually an empath a couple of months ago, when I realized that, oh, okay, so this is really who I am. This is the person I am. This is not the person I was before, was an illusion. So this is not what I was. This is who exactly I am. You know what I mean? So you are going to experience what they call the death of ego. When a person abuses you and kicks you and they do all sorts of things on you, they are killing your ego. So most of the times they don't even know that they're doing it. But most of the time, the more the person abuses you, is the more they are killing your ego. And the more your ego is dying, the very big possibility that you are going to awaken. So you're going to wake up, you're going to become spiritually awoke, and your life will never be the same. Now, when you're awakening, now I need you guys to listen very, very closely and very attentively, because I'm not going to say this again. When you're awakening, it may depend wherever you are. You may be sitting on a couch somewhere, you may be walking, you may be sleeping, you may be at a party, you may be in school, you may be in the church. When you're awakening, this is exactly what happens when you're awakening. Because guys, remember, there is a very big pain you get usually when you're going through trauma, something what I can call trauma, whether it has trauma been caused by an accident or whether trauma is caused by a bad toxic relationship. So when you're in that kind of traumatized, when you're being traumatized, there's a very specific pain you're having in the middle of your chest in this area. You have got a very specific pain, and that pain is usually staying with you for most of your life, especially when you're in that toxic relationship. So you're going to always have that pain in the middle of your chest, and that pain will never go away. So you will be carrying that pain along with you for very, very many years. It depends how long you're in the relationship. Sometimes 1, 2, 3, sometimes 10 years. So you will have a very specific pain that is actually in this area, this part of your body. Now, that pain, it is unexplainable. It is only somebody who has been in a toxic relationship, they can explain that pain, and they can identify that pain, and they can relate with me. There's a very specific pain that is somewhere in the middle of your chest here. It is very painful. You can't breathe. Most of the time you can't breathe. When you're having that pain, you can't breathe. It is very difficult for you to carry heavy things in your hand. Sometimes even something is not heavy. I remember 2 times myself, I dropped phones. How heavy is a phone? But the phones just slipped out of my hand because I was going through trauma. So there was that kind of trauma that I was going through, and it was very, very painful. and you can find yourself that your body stops to function very well. So your body stops to function, and there are some of the simple basic things you cannot do. Even if you know how to do them, you do not know how to execute those tasks. And it is even more dangerous when you're in a certain kind of a job whereby you're completely in a job, and then you find yourself that um, you cannot perform properly in those jobs. So when that pain now, when you're awakening, when the time, because the universe has allocated you, the universe finally will allocate you, and it is going to decide that yes, now so and so, whoever you are, it is time for you to awaken. You are going to be in that position, and then all of a sudden something is going to get out of you. There is that pain you're going to feel disappearing from your chest. I need to listen, guys, listen to this very, very carefully and very, very closely. When you're awakening, the first sign you're going to see, like for me in my own personal journey, this I'm explaining to you my own personal journey, there is something that is going to leave your chest. It is going to disappear out of your chest. Some people have this pain in the lower abdomen, in the gut area. So there's that place what they call the gut, somewhere under your stomach. There's that pain that usually, when you're being in a toxic relationship, that pain you get when you're in a toxic relationship is somewhere near your abdomen, somewhere in the lower area. Some people have that pain in that area, with something what they call the gut. But when you're awakening, guys, your ego dies. Your ego dies, and everything is going to completely evaporate out of your body. It is going to evaporate out of your body on a very noticeable scale. So you are going to completely notice that something is happening to you. So you're going to sit down somewhere, or maybe you're walking somewhere. If you're walking, I hope you'll not be walking. Maybe you're not walking, or maybe you're not at work, or maybe you're not in school, or maybe you're not in class. But when that thing comes, you're going to stop whatever you're doing. So you're just going to sit down in one place and completely shift. Everything is going to shift, because from that day, when you get an awakening, your life will never be the same. Your reality is going to shift. You're going to realize that actually you've been suffering for a very long time, very, very long time, and you didn't even know it. You're going to realize that, oh, the pain is gone. You're just going to touch your heart like that. You're going to touch your lower abdomen, and you're going to feel that everything has just gone all of a sudden, and you do not know what has happened, but the pain has just simply gone. So this is because when you're awakening, your soul detaches from whatever's been hurting you. Your soul detaches, whether you've been in a soul tie. I'm going to make a video about a soul tie later on, at some point in time. I'm going to make a video about a soul tie. So your soul detaches completely from your... Guys, I'm making a video, and here's a ladybird. Let me show you something. Look at that. How beautiful is that? Look at that on my shot. All right, guys, let's carry on. So that pain will leave your body. I remember in my own experience, I was sitting somewhere, and I was having all these questions about my life. You know, I was having questions. What should I do? I was really suffering. I didn't know what to do. I was in a very, very deep toxic relationship, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I was just sitting down there one day, and then I was browsing through the YouTube. I was checking through some stuff on the internet, on YouTube. I was reading some things online. Then that's when it is called the switch. The spiritual awakening is also called the switch. It's like somebody like switches something in your brain. You know, like the switch just goes on automatically. So when the switch goes on, everything about your old self starts to die. The pain completely goes, and you will just sit there. You will be completely, first of all, you will get that very, very deep exhaustion. You will feel completely exhausted, like you've been running hundreds of miles. Your body will collapse. It's like your body will collapse. You will collapse and just sit back. You will sit back and think that, what exactly is happening to me? Sometimes you can even try to feel your body. You will not even feel your body. In those first few minutes, you're not going to feel your body, because your ego is dying. Guys, I've been talking about ego. The ego is the only thing that is keeping many of us in bonds, in trauma bonds. Is the only thing that is keeping many of us in the life we don't need. Is the only thing that is keeping many of us in very toxic relationships. Because of our ego, we are very afraid to leave those relationships because we are thinking that when you leave this relationship, you're not going to survive, you're going to be this, you're going to suffer or see something like that. But that is all because of your ego, but that is an illusion, it is not true. So when that thing now starts to die, when your ego dies, everything just evaporates and you're going to feel a very deep calmness in your body. You're going to feel very calm. You don't know what is going to happen, but you're just going to sit down. I remember myself sitting down in the chair. I was sitting like for 10 minutes. I couldn't feel my body. I was just looking around. I was just like, wow, what exactly is happening? Everything started to make sense. Now, in that special time, guys, this is the second thing that when you are going through an awakening, the second thing that happens is that is when now you are going to start to remember. Your memory is going to start coming back. Because remember, the universe has started to help you awaken to your reality. So the memory is going to start coming back. You're going to start to remember all those things that happened to you in your lifetime. You're going to start to remember the things, all those events, all those details. You're going to remember all those details, and then everything is going to start to make sense. You're going to start thinking that, okay, now I get it. This is why in so and so year this was like this. That is why in this and this year this was like that. So you're going to start adding up all the puzzles. You're going to add up all the puzzles and everything is going to start making sense, because that is when you're going to realize that, aha. So it's called like an aha moment. So you're going to have like the aha moment whereby, okay, now I get it. Now this is why this has been happening. This is why that has been happening. This is why this has been happening. And in most of the times when that thing is happening, when that situation, when the switch goes off and that incident happens, it is exactly when you're going to now stand up. You're going to very slowly. I remember myself, it took me like 10 minutes in that kind of paranoia state. It's like I had that kind of, it's a very abnormal state, because this is something you never experienced before. It is something that happens once in a lifetime. A person awakens only once. So you go into some kind of like a deep paranoia state. You do not know, everything just turns around. The pain starts leaving your body. Your mind starts clearing up. You're looking everything with a bright light. Everything is making sense. You're adding up all the puzzles. So is the aha moment. It's called the aha moment. So for me, my aha moment lasted about 10 minutes. I was just sitting down there. I was like, didn't know what was happening to me. I was even scared at the first time. I was very, very scared, and I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what was going on. I was very, very confused, But then at the end of the day, I say, okay, now it's time for me now. It's time for me to live, It's time for me to get up. It's time for me to wear my shoes. It's time for me now to take back my power, because all your power will start coming back. Guys, when you're awakening, you've never seen the power you have. All the power that has been suppressed when you're in the matrix, when you're in those old life system you've been used to, you will be very surprised what the universe can do. The universe will awaken you, and the moment you stand up on your feet like this, that is when all your power that you had lost before is going to come back. All your power is going to come back, and you're going to feel very energetic. You're going to feel like you can run 1,000 kilometers without getting tired. You can feel that you can talk to anybody. You're going to start to feel that you can say anything, because you do not have any more ego, and you're living out of your heart space. You're living in your heart space. So you're going to stop resenting. You're going to stop hating people. You're going to stop thinking about the past. You're going to decide that you're going to now start seeing that your life is starting to move in a completely different direction, and your life is starting to change. Your life is going to change. It's even going to shock you sometimes. Your life is going to change at a very, very hypersonic, I don't know, supersonic or hypersonic speed, that you are going to be very, very surprised what is happening to you. Sometimes you'll be confused, but then you will know that yes, something is happening to me, and now I'm starting to live a new life, and I'm starting to change my life for the better. You are going to realize that you're going to start doing all those things that you never done before. Many, many things you never done before, because when you're living out of your ego, most of the times you can find that you're shy. You can't speak to the public. You can't speak to people. You can't answer some questions. You can't be yourself. You can't dress in a certain way. Everything you're doing, you're very scared about things, but that's because you're living in your ego. But when you're awakened, when you wake up, when you spiritually wake up, that's when you're going to realize that actually there are so many things you can do. You can do this. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do this. Things that you never thought in your life that you can do. You're going to start doing all those things, because that is a sign that actually the universe has assigned you something. It has awakened you to wake up. Awakening is like waking up from the deep sleep. So you start to wake up, and move towards your your life purpose and your life journey, and your life will never be the same. So guys, I just wanted to explain to you in this video, I explained to you the very two incidents that happened, that made happen. There are so many things that can happen before somebody awakens, but the very first incident that will happen is a very terrible accident that causes you a near-death experience. The second incident, it's most commonly caused by a very toxic relationship, by a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath, whereby somebody abuses you very deeply and they destroy your body, they destroy your soul, they destroy your mind, they destroy your psychological thinking and your psychological power, and they break down your spirit. So when you're awakening, usually that ego dies, and you start to wake up again. Everything leaves your body. All that soul ties, those soul ties you've had before, all those trauma bonds you've had before, they start to leave your body. They start to evaporate. They evaporate immediately, and eventually you start living in your heart space. Because from the moment I awakened myself, I've realized that my heart has completely opened up, because this is like opens up your heart chakra. You stop to hate people. You stop to, even some people who have done you wrong, some people who have done very bad things to you. You just find yourself that you've stopped to hate them. You start to love people. You start to be one with people. You start to want to do good things. You start to want you begin to want to change a lot of things in your life. So you do not have hate in your heart. So in my heart personally, I've stopped to hate on people. I've started to love myself more. I've started to experience what they call self-love. I can be in my own space and I will be feeling very happy. I don't need any validation. I don't need anybody to validate me. So I'm living in my heart space, and usually I find myself very comfortable when I'm by myself. It's either when I'm with people who build me or who improve me spiritually, or if not, I'm by myself, and that is called self-love. So you're not going to hate anybody when you're awakened, guys. Don't be surprised. And if you're out there and you're the one who is in an abusive relationship, so you're going to realize that you do not hate those people anymore. You forgive them, and the only thing is that you've learned how to protect yourself, and you've learned how to protect yourself and how to guard yourself. But the only thing is that you know that yes, the people, they have hurt you, but you do not want to revenge. You know what I mean? Because when you're spiritually awakened, you become a very spiritual person, and you become a very you stop operating out of your ego. So you're going to realize that there are most of those things you're going to be doing that are not going to actually hurt people. You do not want to hurt people. Anything you do is just for the benefit of humanity, because that is exactly what you came here to do. Now guys, I've never done a very long video, and I just want to let it here. Let it end here. It's really been a very beautiful day having you guys on board. Guys, this video, I know it's not for everybody. There are so many people who are not going to understand what I'm talking about, because they are very deep into the third dimension. They are living very deep within their egos, and they are very deep into the 3D, something what they call the third dimension. But for the most of the people who are awakening, or who are even awakened, or who are even very close to awakening, they are going to start picking up most of the things I've said here, because it's not something that everything I've said everybody will understand this, and I don't blame you. It's okay. But there's a family, something what they call the soul family, because normally when you're awakened, you find a new group of people, what they call the soul family, because all your old circles are going to fall out. A lot of people will fall out, family will fall out, friends will fall out, but that's okay. And usually when you're awakening, you're going to discover that you have got a soul family, people who have already awakened before you, and people who understand and who are leveling with you. And that's when you're going to discover that you're not alone. So for me, in this video, I just wanted to help people to know that experience, because there are many people who have gone through an awakening. I've seen so many people, and guys, I'm not a very political person, but in the very future, I'm going to make a very, very specific video about a very specific individual who has gone through an awakening. And I don't know, but there's a very specific individual who has gone through an awakening, and in the future, I'm most likely going to make a comment about that. But usually I take my time and I take things very slowly, one at a time. So guys, it's been said, much has been said in this video, and that's it for now. Guys, it's been a blessing to have you guys on board. If you haven't subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I always drop out videos every now and then. talking about so many different things. And guys, until then, it's been a blessing to have you guys on board. Peace out, and I love you all. Denzo Mos Unscripted signing out. Take care. Bye.